Camera's rolling.
Okay. For start, can you tell me what was the first music that you were into?
The first music ever that I was into. I think the first single I ever bought was an Adam and the Ants single, 7-inch, Xerox machine. Do you know that? It's a sort of guitar punk thing. That was pretty good.
And where do you move from there?
From there I move into Frankie Goes to Hollywood, that sort of stuff. I was really into the production of Trevor Horn, and from that I got onto duck rock, you know, the very beginnings of hip hop on record for us anyway, because we never used to obviously hear things like Sugar Hill Gang when we were 9. But you know, things like Rocket by Herbie Hancock and Buffalo Gals, and they were the first hip hop things I ever heard on radio, which is how I got into hip hop, and then just started listening to the radio and getting completely into hip hop, and that's how I started DJing. I wanted to mix records together and cut and scratch like the stuff I was hearing. That's what appealed to me. So mainly hip hop and early pop.
And where do you move from there?
May I interrupt shortly?
Yeah.
No, I feel that.
So after hip hop, where did you went there musically?
After hip hop, my love of hip hop from 85 to 89 pretty much was solid, and after that I got into a lot of techno stuff. Hip hop was dying for me, and at the end of the 80s, the gangster thing killed it really for me. It was just going the wrong ways. They weren't saying anything new, weren't saying anything interesting. The beats had just become just the backing really. There was nothing there. So I got into techno, the more sort of Aphex Twin, B12, Black Dog type of techno that was coming. It was called intelligent techno at the time, and a lot of ambient stuff. That Orb were just coming up then. Mixmaster Morris was out with his records, and just got into that whole scene at that time.
And how did you get back to the breakbeat element?
Well, it was always there. It just wasn't really at the forefront of anything. I'd still listened to hip hop and I still checked for it, but I didn't check for it as hard as I was. I was just listening to hip hop non-stop from 85 to 89 and virtually nothing else. A few things when I was in college, you know, industrial bands and indie things. But I mean, hip hop's been getting better for the last 2 years for me. There's been some really good ground gain to sort of made up for a lot of the, how should I put it, the commercial breakthrough, I suppose. But I lost my train of thought there completely.
And now in these days, when you're DJing, how would you describe your DJ sound, your sound as a DJ?
Don't think we have any DJ sound really. We should be called public food now instead of DJ food. You know, musical food for the public. There's no. A lot of people come up to me in the clubs and say, "What do you play? What style of music do you play?" And I say, "Well, I play a lot of things. I play hip hop, techno, drum and bass, ambient, funk, soul, house. Where do you want me to go? You know." I don't play certain styles of music, like I won't play garage and I won't play swing beat because I'm not really into those. But I'm not a hip hop DJ and I'm not a drum and bass DJ. I play a lot of these things, a lot of elements of these things mixed up with obscure, you know, I might play spoken word or something. Drop that in and play that for a minute in a set, but I don't think there's any sound. I like to think when people come to hear us that they've got a picture in their mind of what we're going to be playing because they've seen us before. It's a djfood sound.
And what do you see as the job of a DJ? Is a DJ someone who's kind of entertain the people and keep them dancing, or is it more like when you're DJing, you're playing a certain set and the crowd has to deal with it?
No, I think it's a mixture. I think a DJ's job is to entertain and educate. We've got to push things a little bit but also any DJ that just goes into a club, plays exactly what it wants with no regard for the dance floor, is a bit of an arsehole as far as I'm concerned, because these people have paid their money to see you. They've come out to have a good time. They've, you know, a lot of people will just stand there and listen to the music all night, but lots of people want to dance. If they can't do that, that's half of it lost. I think we have to push boundaries. We have to educate people. We have to drop in a couple of things that maybe they're not going to like, but maybe one person in the room will recognise something and just come up to it at the end and say, "Oh wow, you played that by him," and it made my whole evening. Then it was worth it. A lot of the things that when I've been looking for a set of records just before I go out, I've maybe picked out one thing and thought maybe I'll play that. It's a bit of a long shot, and then I've played it later on, and it's got a really good response. 2 or 3 people have come up and said, "Oh wow, I didn't believe it. You played, I don't know, Night Interlude by Nightmares on Wax. I played in the middle of an ambient set about 4 years ago, and somebody came up and said, wow, you know, I've had that record for a few years. I never thought I'd hear it in a club ever, because it's mellow, and people didn't play stuff like that a few years ago. It was all about techno."
And what is more important to you when it comes to DJing, the programming or the technical side?
The programming, as in the way I program my set, you mean? Again, both elements, the programming of the set and the technical aspect, have to be integrated. You can be the most adept DJ technically in the world, but if you can only put together a premeditated set of records, you're limiting yourself. It's how you play the records, and it's what records you play. It's like who you know and what you know. It's for instance, you know, the battle DJs, the hip hop DJs out today, they're amazing. They're technically the most proficient DJs on the planet, but they usually play for about, you know, 15-20 minutes. They have their set all worked out. They have these things that they can do. Give them a bag or a box of records, 100 records, and get them to rock a dance floor for 2 hours. They probably can't do it. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but that's their thing. They do these premeditated sets where they've worked incredibly hard to perfect their technique, and it's very impressive, but they're almost like a showpiece. And I'd like to think that Patrick and I, when we do our sets, we can do a bit of both, and we're technically proficient as well as rocking the dance floor. We've got a good knowledge of tunes. You know, we're going to take you on a trip or whatever. God, that sounds really naff. I can't say that. I have to edit that bit.
Normally you say journey, not trip.
Journey, but you know, that's naff as well, isn't it? But
but I think it's very important to cover both aspects. Like I really like the idea of the eclectic DJ, but there are only very few people that I've heard really did it for me. Like I remember when I heard James Lowell for the first time, and I was really disappointed because he played great music. Yeah, but
it's very discordant.
Yeah,
he just plays one record, stops it, starts the next. There's no flow.
Yeah, and this is really important for me.
Definitely.
When I go to a club and want to enjoy myself.
Yeah, you can't start and stop. Anyone can take out the greatest hits of Clubland, play them back to back, but what's the point? I mean, anyone can do it. You've got to inject some of your own style into it. You didn't make those records, so you've got to play them your way. And I don't know, it's something that's lost on some DJs, I think. I've heard some DJs that are, you know, a lot of techno and house DJs are brilliant mixers, fantastic. They can, you know, keep beat mixes going all night, never dropping a beat, but in the end it just sounds like background music because it's so streamlined that you stop listening, and it's so similar. All the music's the same. It's a problem I have with drum and bass DJs, actually. Generally, I haven't really heard any decent drum and bass DJs. It just all begins to sound the same. I personally get very bored. I couldn't go to a club and listen to the same music all night, in the same way as I wouldn't go home and listen to the same music all night. And I don't think many other people would. I'm sure half the DJs that only play one music all evening in a club will not go home and listen to all that music at home. And there's so much great music out there, I really don't see why you should limit yourself. You're cheating yourself and you're cheating the public. That's my opinion. I've always played everything, and I used to do house parties for friends when I was in college, you know, all night, just play everything, and they would just be like, it was really good half an hour ago, but this isn't really cutting it, because I was playing some stomping techno like Foakes to djfood. I remember playing that at somebody's engagement party and it clearing the floor, and I thought, this is such a great record, you know, it's such a good techno record. And you know, there was about 3 people left on the dance floor when I looked up, so I got my chic records back out. But you live and you learn, you know. That's my DJ apprenticeship, doing these little parties. And
I think a lot of the DJs who are just playing one set, they're making also like a living out of DJing, and
yeah,
the whole thing is very categorized, and
yeah,
and they don't want to take a risk because they want to keep on with their
yeah,
bookings.
yeah. Because they think if a promoter sees them clearing the dance floor, then he's not going to bring them back, so they're going to play it safe. I'm sure that is, you know, one reason why they do that. But
so what is the setup when djfood are performing or playing at a club?
well, we have 4 decks, 2 mixers, effects boxes like delays or flanges, and we usually face to face. I'm looking over my 2 decks at Patrick so we can communicate easily, and we'll just go off, and one of us will take the lead, one of us will take the beats, play for say half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, and the other person will take the scratches, overdubs, vocal inserts, whatever we feel like. And nothing's premeditated with us. We never know what each other's got in their box. We've learned to anticipate each other's mix changes and moods, and we have little things where we say, I'm going to go down now or up, or different timing, or half speed, whatever. And you know, we have little things which we try out pretty much live. I don't think we've ever worked out anything in our lives, you know, that's not been in the studio. So sometimes it's hit and miss. Sometimes it'll be a great night. Sometimes it'll be interesting.
And what do you like most about DJing? Or what do you like about DJing? Money, the
I really don't know.
traveling.
I don't know what I like. I've just always wanted to mix records and scratch things up and play good music. I suppose the best thing about it is that when someone comes up to you after a gig and says, that was just wicked. We had some guy come up to us at the end of one of our gigs and said, you've just changed the whole way I listen to music, which for me was so gratifying, because the guy was sincere, and we hadn't gone out saying, we're the greatest DJs, we're going to do all this, and we're going to make you listen, and you're going to love it. And this guy had come up to us, and, you know, respect to the guy, because it must have been quite humbling to say that to us. And luckily we got it on tape, which is even better. That's the best thing, is when people come up and they say, that was so good. You know, they've been paying attention, they've listened to the music, they know some of the music, and they've had a really good night, and it's as a result of you. That's personally what I get out of it. I don't do it for the money. There aren't any girls. It's a complete myth. The travelling's good, actually. I wasn't a traveller until I became a DJ. So obviously it's good to see new places, meet new people, do new things, visit record shops abroad.
Could you describe what the djfood collective, or what I want to call it, is, and who's part of it and how it works?
I thought of a great analogy with it the other day and I've forgotten it completely. The djfood collective is started off with Matt and John at Coldcut here, big heroes of mine, and progressed on to PC, and later on myself. programmer called Paul Brook, who's worked with Matt and John quite extensively, and various other bods who have come into the picture. I'd like to say that if people were thinking of a mental picture of djfood, that they just see a sampler with every record ever released and pressed and available to the world, plus every sound piece of music, everyday living and spoken word available. It's at the grasp of us, and we just use it. Not very well put, but I don't want people to think of it as a group of 6 studio bods. It's incredibly boring and unromantic. You know.
Yeah, but it's really different from a lot of other projects or groups, because it's like really like an open thing. Like
Yeah.
One guy starts working on a track and
Yeah.
another one finishes.
That's what I like about it. It's almost a new way of working. I can't think of anybody else doing that in our field. Personally, I'm sure it's been done. I mean, it's done with film and things like that. But it's, I mean, Matt and John are relinquishing control of that to PC and I as well. So it's going to change even further, just as everyone's got their head around the fact that djfood isn't a person and that it's Matt, John, PCI, whoever. They're going to relinquish it to us completely, so that it's a free rein for us to do, and then we can bring in whoever else we'd like, which is, it's good.
And who got the last word when it comes to decide?
Again, it's like a group decision, probably with half the people that work for the label saying, no, I don't like that track, that's rubbish, take it off. You know, I mean, I suppose, I think it's more of a case of people not wanting their track on the album because they think it's no good, because we just do tracks and we just do loads of stuff. And I remember recently Peter from Ninja wanted to put out a djfood 12 with something me and Patrick had done on it on one side and something else on the other, and I just said, look, you know, that track's all right, it's not great, I don't really think it should go out. It turned up on a compilation album, and that was enough. Didn't need to be out as a single. It wasn't particularly great, you know. So,
And how do you deal with all the different egos that are involved?
There aren't any egos. There are no egos in ninjatune. It's surprisingly egoless, actually. It's not in the studio. Everyone gets their way eventually. Their compromises have to be made, but there's no egomania. The guy that makes the tea's usually got as much say as the guy that runs the label. So I've never really come up across it.
And what keeps the ninjatunes together?
The egolessness, I'm presuming, keeps it. I don't know. The whole way ninjatunes is run is as a collective thought process, whereas the guy that does make the tea will have as much say as the guy that runs the label. You know, Peter, who runs Ninja, will give me a tape and say, I've heard this, I've been sent this, what do you think? And I'll say, well, it's all right, didn't think it was that great, or yeah, fantastic. And then, you know, the opinion will be put to whoever else is around, the person that's doing the accounting or anything. We're all music heads, most of us DJ and or make music. There's not somebody that does the press, that just does the press and then goes home. It's almost like a lifestyle type of thing. Everyone's got their own opinion, and that's respected and as much as everyone else. So we were designing some t-shirts the other day, and there was like a straw poll taken, like who wants to wear this design in what colour? You know, like how many colours should we do it? Everyone's got to be asked. If one person creates everything and decides everything, it's going to be a very one-sided affair. I think that's our strength, is that ninjatune's fairly rounded. We listen to everybody's opinion because we're just the sort of people that will want to buy this product the same as the people in the shops. Everyone's different, and some people are going to think something's naff, some people are going to think it's great. There has to be the balance, and everyone has to be asked, or whoever's around has to be asked.
What are you doing at ninjatune beside the DJing and being involved in production?
well, my main job at Ninja, apart from the DJing and production, is the graphic design, which is all the sleeves for ninjatune, all the sleeves for Entone, any promotional posters, flyers, t-shirts, bags, slip mats, Rizzlers. If you name it, if it's got the Ninja name on it, it's usually designed by me or laid out by me. So that's pretty hectic, and that's quite a day job because everything has to be done. I've started to relinquish parts of the job to other people, but I've pretty much for the last 3 years been solely designing. I redesigned the original Ninja logo when it was quite a small, uncomplicated computer image into a sort of more sleeker, more dynamic, probably the Ninja that you know at the moment with the record. We phased the sword out, put the record in, and so that's my main day job. But I don't actually work at Ninja to do that. I've got stuff at home, and then the DJing is the other major part. You know, the music is fairly on the side at the moment because the DJing's really taken over, and we've been touring for the last year and a half probably all over the world. So it's fairly Ninja dominated.
Can we talk about some images on the covers, like the djfood cover, the new Funky Porcini cover?
Yeah. If you, I mean,
maybe you can explain something on it. It's blind now because we haven't it here.
Right.
Let me stop shortly. It's rolling again.
So what was the concept for the Funky Porcini cover? What came up?
The cover for the last album of Funky Porcini, Love Pussycats and Car Wrecks, James came to me with this image that he'd found of this car on a freeway which had a blowout and was actually up on 2 wheels, and he thought this image was brilliant, and we had to get this from an image bank, and he said, I just want you to incorporate this into the cover. It's the third part, it's the Car Wrecks part of the cover. The 2 people on the back with the Hoover was an image I found in an old style book, That's How to Live or something it was called, and that was the love part. It was these 2 people that are obviously making their home together, and they had this Hoover. Both of them had a different Hoover, and I just thought it was so stupid. And it was James is totally into all that kitsch. He loves all that stuff. And then we had to find some pussycats from somewhere. I can't really remember what we did that with. There was some. James came out with all these bizarre kitten pictures which we had to drop because they were too disturbing, I think. I don't know what he'd done with that. But and the pizza on the turntable for the food, that was something that me and Patrick had set up. Because we thought, 12-inch pizza, 12-inch record, it's pretty obvious. It's a good visual thing, and in absence of us not wanting to particularly be on the sleeve, but us wanting to have something on the sleeve rather than just the knife and fork, we thought, let's set up this shot with the pizza on the turntable, and then we got our record box out, an old record box with loads of records spread on the back, and filled it full of fruit and food, and took some shots in the backyard of my old house, and that was another concept, fairly obvious concept really, but it looked better than our heads on the record, I thought, much rather than.
Why don't we see any of yours on the record? It's faceless in a way.
My face, you don't want to look at me. I don't even know why you're filming me, you know.
But there are other people on the label, and
yeah,
nobody knows. When you think about ninjatunes, when I think about the label, I think about the logo.
Yeah.
And stuff, but you never think about faces.
The people, yeah, because it's not really about us. It's about the music, and none of us are really in this. Well, I'm personally never been in this to be a personality. I never tried to get famous from doing this. I never thought, right, I want to be a DJ. Yeah, get my picture in the papers. I hate having my picture taken. I hate having interviews. You know. It's not why I do this. It's to play music and to get music out there and to design sleeves and to just create something that can be appreciated by other people, and people do appreciate it. They come up to us because they do eventually recognise us, because there have been obviously shots in the press, and they say, that was a great night, wicked music. They never come up to me and say, yeah, you're a great bloke. You look great. your face is fantastic. I've seen you in the magazine. Nice shirt. You know, it's like I've played the music to them that night, and people write to me and say, oh, I really like the cover. What the hell was it on the front? Where did you get that? How did you make that? Who took the photograph? Really, that's why I do it. Otherwise, I'd might as well put a little picture of my head on the sleeve and say, all designed by me as well. You know.
What was the idea with the Herbalizer cover? The last one.
The new one, the blow your headphones. The idea for that, Ollie from the Herbalizer came up with the concept of the Herbalizer's sleeve with the skull, with the headphones. I think we were in Cologne actually on a German tour, and there was some mad mixer with a ridiculous volume level, and I said, oh, you got to turn it down, it'll blow your headphones. And he was like, yeah, that's a wicked title, because obviously Blow Your Head by the JBs, you know. He said, right, we'll keep that, and that eventually became the album title. And he wanted this, he's really into this comic book stuff, and he wanted this skull on the front with these headphones on. And we formulated this whole thing where we'd have a die-cut cover. Have you seen the vinyl with the slip inside? Originally, the inside covers were going to have X-rays of Jake's head and Ollie's head from the Herbalizer, and that each one of those will be changeable so that you would have Jake's head or Ollie's head see through the cover with the headphones on. But unfortunately, it's incredibly expensive to get your head X-rayed, and that fell through at the last minute. So we got an X-ray skull, and Ollie's very into film and stuff, and we'd had a sort of film reel theme going through the last 12s of the Herbalizer. So our friends the Light Surgeons gave us loads of old film reels and old cine film. We stuck them in our back garden, set fire to them, just for a good visual image, and everyone was going, this isn't going to work, you know, you'll never get the flames to show up on the camera, you'll be really lucky. And we got some really good shots of all these film reels burning and then all mashed together. And when we put the thing out, because it was drifting dangerously close to some dry leaves, we had this mashed up film reel thing, which is now going to be used for the next Herbalizer 12-inch cover, the blend. So it's everything evolves on, all these reels blended together. So there's always something in it. There's something there, no matter how subliminal. The Herbalizer is a fairly obvious one, I think, with all the flames behind the skull.
Done a lot of traveling, DJing and stuff. How do people in other countries react to the music?
Generally, fairly positively, they react. Obviously, things boil down to promoters promoting the nights properly, people expecting what they get. Overall, the reactions have been fairly positive. We usually have fairly packed clubs. People get it. They don't just come expecting music all night the same. And generally, we've fairly rocked it, you know.
Sorry.
Music you sing.
Okay.
Do you feel that, like, internationally there is like a scene, or there must be, I mean, there are groups of people in every country that are into this kind of ninja sound. Is that the impression that you got from traveling?
I'm not sure if there's a scene as so much. I think people can just appreciate a good selection of music in the same way as we do. They know that we supply that, and if they come to a club, they're going to hear that. So maybe they'll buy Ninja records as well, but I don't really think we have an overall sound as a label. We just have an overall feeling, or there's a concept. Like when you think of Ninja, you think of the logo, like you said. You think of, I don't know, you think of eclecticism or something. It's something that you can't put your finger on. It's ninjatune. That's how you categorize it. You can't really say it's drum and bass, it's trip hop, it's hip hop, it's funk, it's whatever, because it's just ninja. Those ninja guys, they do that. You know, they do their own thing. It's a bit of everything. And I think people are into that spirit of things really when they come to see us. They're sort of prepared. They're open to a lot of different things, and the people that are open are the people that get it. They get what we're about, and it's fairly translatable internationally, obviously, because there's no language as such. You know, we play records with rapping and spoken word and lyrics, but there's a lot of instrumental there, which is obviously easily, everyone can appreciate a piece of music. They don't need to know what's being, if there's nothing being said over the top.
Or do you like more instrumental stuff or vocal stuff?
A lot of the stuff I do listen to is instrumental, but that doesn't mean I don't like vocalists. I have a problem with particular voices. I have to like the vocalist's voice for a start to appreciate what they're saying. I don't actually really listen to what anyone's saying in rapping. It doesn't really matter. Obviously, if they're talking complete and utter shite and it's offensive, then I'm not so much into it. But rappers like Cool Keith, Dr. Octagon, you know, God knows what he's saying, but it sounds wicked, you know. And same with vocalists. I have to really like their voice to appreciate them. It doesn't really matter what they're singing about. So I don't really have a preference, but I will find myself playing a lot more instrumental music. There's not most of drum and bass is instrumental. Most of the stuff I play, I think Ronnie Size is the only person who's working personally with vocals in an interesting, original way in drum and bass. I can't really stand the rest of it. It's all a bit light.
It always seems to me like that when there's a new music coming that's more instrumental or more based on breaks or beats, at a certain stage there's always this stupid, really old-fashioned idea that now we have to put some vocals to it.
Yeah, and it's usually an old song revamped.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the Fugees have pretty much made their career out of that, I think, unfortunately, for them. You know, covering old people's songs. You always get the old classic set to a drum and bass beat or something that gets in the charts. Really inventive guys. Hope you made a packet out of that one.
Are there people outside of the Ninja crew that you can associate with, that you feel they're doing a similar thing?
Yeah, there's plenty of people. There's plenty of labels all over the place. I mean, I think our biggest contemporary in England in terms of attitude and output are someone like Warp Records in Sheffield, who we have a fairly good relationship with. Me and Patrick have both done the Black compilations for them, plus remixes for them. They're nice people. They've got a wicked attitude. They're into every sort of music, and you know, they take care. They take care of their design. They've got Designers Republic doing their design. They take care of who they put out. They're very selective, and they are independent. They've stayed true to their own thing. They've just done their own thing, and they've had successes, and they've had, you know, highs and lows. It goes with anything. It's like we've been around for years, and it's only recently that we've become even known, and I'm sure that's peaked and will tail off, but we'll still keep on doing the same things we've always done. But just more people will know about us this time. There's plenty of other little labels all over the world as well, you know.
Sorry.
Do you know the guys from Kruder and Dorfmeister?
Yeah.
What do you think about them?
Yeah, they're great guys. I haven't spoken extensively to them, but brilliant DJs, really good. Played with Peter in Vienna, and they've always got some totally upfront tune that you're going to go up and say, "Oh my God, where did you get that? What's that?" You know, they're really on it, and their music's wicked as well. Their remix of Alex Reese's "Feel the Sunshine" is just classic, completely classic. Just came that all last summer. Really good. Good guys, really.
What do you like about their music, their own productions?
I don't know really. It's something that when you hear a Kruder Dorfmeister track, you know it's them. There's you know, they do their remix sessions, and Peter once told me he did for the Alex Reese remix, they did 17 versions or something of the original mix and then scrapped it because it just wasn't happening, and then they did another further 4 or 5 versions, which eventually one of them came out. You know, they must labour over their sound, and they've got something good there. They've started using a lot of the live musicians now, like the Tosca stuff, you know, I really like that. Been playing a bit of that out.
What do you think about Massive Attack?
Yeah, they're wicked. They got their own thing going on. You know, they've been one of the first groups really to break through commercially with the sort of stuff they've been doing, and they've kept pretty true to themselves. They haven't, you know, sold out and done what's the first album? Blue Lines, isn't it? Yeah, they didn't do Blue Lines 2. They did Protection. You know, they've sought out the interesting vocalists, and obviously people like Tracy Thorn and Nicolette that you wouldn't necessarily think would be an obvious choice anyway, and almost revitalise their careers in the process.
Have you heard any of their new stuff that they're working on?
No, nothing. Any good?
I haven't heard it.
No, the last thing I heard was don't know really. Probably the remix stuff that they put out, the Mad Professor. I like the fact they did the dub album as well with Mad Professor. Good idea, a good retake on the remix album project. Really, giving it all over to one person as opposed to lots of people, because you get a better flow of an album, more coherence. That's one of the problems I think we have with our music, is that because there's so many people involved doing so many different styles, that it's like a compilation album, our albums, and especially with the Refried Food thing, when you've got further people remixing all that in their own style as well, it's very incoherent at times. That's something that has to be addressed on the next food stuff. But maybe because it's relinquished more to me and Patrick, it will sound a bit more coherent. And but then the upside of all that is that there is a lot more there for everyone. You know, no one's really going to like everything, but more people there's going to be something for a few more people because of the different styles.
And how do you feel about remixes in general?
I have my off days about remixes. Sometimes I'm all for them. It's good to get someone to reinterpret your music, but sometimes it just seems a little bit pointless. I find if the track works, don't rework it, don't touch it. If there's something there you'd really like to see interpreted even by somebody else you admire, you think it would suit their style, then they should go ahead and do that. I don't think all the remixes on Refried Food worked particularly. Some of them were brilliant and were much better than the original and improved on the original. Some of them didn't really do anything. Like we're talking about the Can remixes. Some stuff, they capture the essence of the original group or the original track. Others just don't see it, miss the point, and reconstruct, you know, their own thing using a couple of sounds.
But when you're working on remixes, like let other people remix your stuff, or working on other people's remixes, it's all about like decisions are made from a musical or artistical point of view, whereas remixes are also like a big marketing tool.
Yeah.
I think that's a whole different thing.
That is the problem, isn't it? That a remix is a way of getting another artist onto your roster almost, without signing them, just for it's a major sales technique for major companies. It's like, I mean, that new Olive single that's #1, it's got like 5 or 6 different mixes by all sorts of people, Nightmares on Wax, Ronnie Size, all in different styles, but all incorporating the original vocal. The actual track that's at #1 is like a house track virtually. It's very odd. Do you know the song I'm talking about? You're Not Alone by Olive? No? Oh, it's #1 here. It's been around for months.
I know that they had always had like remixes. Like,
yeah.
And Ronnie has done several remixes for them, I guess.
Yeah. But it's the funniest thing is Matt was saying recently, oh God, I'm sick to death of getting these double pack multi-remix things from 4th and Broadway of whoever, and then the next Coldcut single is like a double pack multi-remix package, you know, and so will the next one be as well. It's I think you've got to understand why you're getting that person to remix it, and it has to be a valid thing. The next Coldcut Single Beats and Pieces has turntable mixes by myself, Kid Koala, Q-Bert, very much carry on the tradition of the original Beats and Pieces track, which is now 10 years old. Plus they've got reworks by Tortoise, which is a very much more musical approach. And also they're getting Jello Biafra. Do you know him from Dead Kennedys? He's doing a spoken word rant piece or something over a version, because we used a spoken word of his on our Journeys by DJ mix, and there's a bit of mutual respect going on there, perhaps. So they'll all be, I mean, you'll get essentially the same track, but completely reinterpreted in a lot of different ways.
But these kind of remixes are really about reinterpretation and
Yeah,
not about marketing.
yeah. There's a relevance there to the people that they're people that are chosen. Reinterpretation will be a better word than remix, because the people have been chosen very specifically, as opposed to their saleability. Like, how many people are really going to have heard of Jello Biafra outside of people like, you know, the punk scene? A lot of people, when we sampled him on our mix, hadn't heard of him before. But, you know, it's just knowing your music and your musical history.
What is your favourite tempo when it comes to beats and music?
I don't have a favourite tempo. I'm not fussed. 0 or 200 doesn't matter. Anything in between. You know, I don't. It's like what music do you play? I don't play one particular style of music.
But coming from a hip hop background, I would expect that your favourite tempo lies somewhere between 80 and.
It's more up to 100. It's more of 100. I'm more from the 100 BPM hip hop thing. It's slowed down a little bit too much for me. People like DJ Vadim are making like 60 BPM hip hop tracks, and I'm just like, oh god, this is too slow. This is much too slow.
So you're not really a downbeat person?
I like any. It doesn't really matter how fast or slow the track is. It's whether it's good. I'm not fussed about tempo at all. It's the elements that are created around that tempo. Like Influx by DJ Shadow is really slow. It's like 70 something. It's fantastic. You know, much better than any fast drum and bass thing. And a lot of people don't seem to get that. They seem to feel that speed and tempo equals excitement, and that's wrong, because most people will dance at half time to drum and bass anyway. And I think the people that are going off all night at 160 BPM on the dance floor are missing the point. You know, you can't funk at 160 beats per minute. It's the funk that's in the music. That's the underlying thing, I think, of Ninja, if anything, is the funk in the music behind the beats. You can have funky techno, you can have funky drum and bass, you can have funky ambient, I expect. You know, there's something there. The funk is present everywhere.
What can you tell me about the multimedia side of the whole Ninja thing, like with the people from Hex and...
Not really. I don't really have that much involvement in the multimedia side. I've just started redesigning the web pages with a guy called Dorian, who's basically taking my graphics from the sleeves, reinterpret them as web pages, because it's a very different process, because you only have 2 layers on a web page. And he's doing a brilliant job reconfiguring our site, because up to now it's been very haphazardly put together by Matt, who started off doing it and then rapidly lost control as it became too big and other people were drafted in who didn't really liaise with me on stuff. And I'm now making a conscious effort to make the website as good looking as the sleeves, so that people that, you know, log on to it that maybe can't even get the records get a sense of what we're about visually.
So what's the reason of having a website anyway?
It's a brilliant device to get information to people from all over the world, really. There's mail order stuff on there where you can click on an icon on a t-shirt and you'll get all the different colour combinations. You can get that t-shirt in, downloadable, ordering, updated discographies, histories for obviously people like yourselves, journalists who don't know that much about the the group but need a potted biography quickly, you can download files for magazines of covers for reviews. You've got sound bites, samples of each track. Well, you will have. And obviously what's coming out when we're on tour. We've got a weekly radio show on Kiss FM, and we put up the play sheets from that every week, so that people can log on and see what we've been playing. You know, it's like the ultimate. The spotter can get hold of whatever he wants, providing we don't write in a few bogus tracks that don't exist. So the best thing about the internet is it's like a massive Chinese whispers. You know, it's like spotters hell, because they all log on, and someone like the Aphex Twin will get on there and he will actually lie blatantly and say, oh yeah, there's this amazing track that's actually the Aphex Twin and it sounds like a pop record and it was done by him 6 years ago, and all the spotters will be frenziedly looking for this thing that doesn't even exist. It's hilarious when it actually comes back round. I logged onto the internet in, I don't personally have it at home, but I logged on in Montreal because we have a Ninja office in Montreal, and there was guys talking about Patrick and I, saying that we didn't exist and that we were actually alter egos of Matt and John. And so I had to reply to this guy and said, look, you know, I can assure you we very much do exist. And he said PC and Strictly were just, you know, pseudonyms for mattblack and Jonathan Moore, and how come if it was written on the food sleeves it didn't have our names and all this sort of stuff, when in fact Patrick's name's on there and mine's on there as well. You just got to look. So look at the small print. And he was cool, because he wrote back a couple of days later and said, oh, I'm really sorry, it was just a theory, you know, it wasn't founded, and you know, I really like this mix you did. And that was cool. That's another reason why I did it, because he'd been listening to what we'd been mixing, and he'd listened to the Black CD, and he thought, yeah, a couple of the mixes were just classic. And
so the internet is really like a link between the listeners and
yeah,
and the label.
Yeah, definitely for people that can't get hold of the records even as well. In some of the, you know, eastern countries, it's not easy.
If the website is really good and people use it, it makes you much more independent from the whole media that you normally need to promote your stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if people want to get the real details, they should be able to log on to ours. If they're a little bit unsure about something that's been written or whatever, the information will be up there. It's going to take a while because the web pages take a long time to generate, but I think by the end of the year it'll be looking a whole lot better, to have a certain coherence to it, which it doesn't have at the moment. There's a lot of information in there to update and upgrade, and it's an important thing. A lot of people do log on. You have to ask Matt how many hits we get a week, but it's several thousand per week, so we can't really afford to be slack on that front any longer, because we are slack. Oh yeah, notoriously slack. The ideas that we've had at Ninja that have never got done. Like 2 years ago we had an idea to do an album called Rare Moog, which never materialised because no one got it together to hunt down these tracks. We had Jean-Jacques Perry, EVA, we were trying to license that and everything, and we had another compilation album we decided we were going to do called King of the Beats, which was going to license Mantronix's track as the central track, and then classic other hip-hop tracks, beat orientated, from which were, you know, hard to get. Depth Charger's just done that, and you know, there's X amount of weird Moog album compilations coming out now, and I mean the reason we didn't do this was mainly because we're not about that as a record label, but also because we didn't get it together. I remember drawing up a sheet with all the composers and the catalogue numbers and all that, and giving it into Pete, and I don't know what happened to that.
Yeah, but looking at the label from the outside, it looks really like a busy operation.
Oh yeah, it is.
So much is going on, like record-wise, internet-wise, and so many people are involved.
Yeah. There's tours going on. There's merchandising being generated. There's obviously we have Entone as well, which is the sub-label, which will hopefully be coming into its own soon. We're going to do a compilation of Entone artists, much like Ninja Cuts, but for Entone, because there's loads of good music going to be coming out on Entone soon. We've got Mixmaster Morris signed as Irresistible Force. We've got Neotropic, we've got Cabbage Boy, Cybeg, who is excellent, and the new Journeyman album I heard the other day is absolutely fantastic. Like unlike anything else I've heard him do. There's some good things, and it'd be good if that became more than just a sub-label. Existed in its own right.
Because I think very few independent labels has really gained all the stuff. Like everybody who starts as a label, sooner or later wants to do some T-shirts. Okay, then there are 2 or 3 shitty T-shirts, and a lot of labels want to do a club night, but only very few labels are really able to finish all these concepts.
Well, we try to do a lot of that stuff. It's all done in-house as far as possible, and with things like the club, like Stealth, we ran it for over a year. It became really popular, like ridiculously popular at some stages, so that people couldn't even get in all night. And it got to a point at Christmas where we thought, yeah, right, well, we've done it now, so we might as well stop while it's ahead and start something new later, because what's the point on dragging it on just because it's successful for the whole year? You know, it's once a month. It's quite taxing, and then it would just go downhill, and tendencies would drop. And we'd much rather do things so they're really good, finish it when it's really good, keep things fresh in people's minds, so people will think back and they'll think, Stealth, that was wicked.
I think a lot of other people would just take it to a bigger venue.
But I don't think it works in a bigger venue personally. I think once you get over 1,000 people with our music, it loses the intimacy of what we do. Personally, what me and Patrick are about anyway. And that's why I'm a bit apprehensive about doing large festivals and things like that, because it's not really the ideal setting. It's you know, a nice low roof venue, 500, 600, 700 people, all totally into it, having a good time. That's what we're about. That's the ultimate night for me anyway.
But you're still playing at the festival at Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm anticipating it with a bit of dread, because I've played at festivals like that before, and I've only ever played one festival ever, which has been really good, which was the Phoenix last year, which was, we were playing at night in our own tent. 1,000 people were crammed in there while the Sex Pistols were on the main stage, and it just ripped the roof off. It was wicked. It was dark outside. We had projections inside. It was our own ninja tent. It was amazing. Everyone got it because it was there. In festivals, you're usually bundled on. A DJ is almost like incidental music between a band. Last year at the Brighton Festival, we didn't have a monitor for half of our set, and the other half of the set, there was the next band started sound checking over the top of us. It was muddy. We only had 2 turntables when we went to have 4, and it was a bit of a downer. I mean, we managed to make the best of it that we can, but it wasn't ideal. There was a massive tent like top. The sound was not great. We couldn't hear what we were doing. It's the bane of festivals, you know, you can't get in there and sound check for 2 hours like we do at our own club. That's why we set up our own club in London, because going into another club, we have very specific setup for the turntables. It takes a while to get it right. And we want people to know that when they come to our club that we've done the best that we can to, well, provide their enjoyment.
Yeah. One last question. What's your opinion about this word that your music is labelled?
Trip hop.
Yeah.
Oh dear, trip hop. Trip hop, the word invented by a house music journalist. It's just sad. It's sad. I feel really sorry for DJ Shadow personally, because he's been made this godfather of trip hop, and he's been into hip hop for X amount of years. He brings out this classic record called Influx, and some journalist dickhead from England decides to label it trip hop. Like, how insulting is that to DJ Shadow? He's all his hip hop contemporaries are just looking at him, and he's being called this king of trip hop, and like, what's that? All they can hear is hip hop. All of us could just hear hip hop. You know, it's instrumental, big deal. So was half of original hip hop. Mantronics, you know, half of their stuff was instrumental, because Mantronics was an amazing producer. DJ Shadow is an amazing producer. He's got amazing rappers on his label who he does production with. It's all hip hop. It's all hip hop to me. It's experimental instrumental hip hop, but that's an incredibly long word to say, isn't it? Trip hop just trips off the tongue that little bit easier. It's sad. because it's a bit of a naff name, unfortunately, and it's now got naff connotations because people have jumped on the bandwagon. There's like best of trip hop and all this other stuff, and it's just, I don't know, it's just a bit unfortunate, really.
Especially when a label got such a bad name.
Yeah, exactly. People should just, I think people hopefully will, in years to come, equate the name Ninjatune with the good music. That's ultimately what I want. I want them to think, yeah, wicked music, nice packaging, good graphics, good attitude, good club nights, good DJs, good musicians. In the same way as something like the ECM jazz label is regarded as it's a good exponent of what it does. God knows what it does. It's jazz in some form, but I'd like to think that Ninjatune will be like that in a few years, 20 years maybe.
Okay, thank you very much.
Great.
Okay.
It was really
Okay.
good interview.
Okay,
Really
thank you.